Happy Easter, heathens. How are we all today? Oh, I'm so going to be obnoxious today. I'm not even setting out to be obnoxious. I'm just pretty sure I'm going to end up being that way because a lot of people that end up watching this, I don't know how everybody in my chat's going to feel about what I have to say, but a lot of people that end up watching this, I'm going to get a lot of hate over this, and I really don't care because I don't know. You're free to make your own choice, and think for yourself, use discernment, and figure out things for yourself. I just wanted to share a little bit of how I think on this fine Easter Sunday. So here we are, running a little late today. I was outside helping my husband put walls on the outside of the chicken coop. I still haven't managed to get that video up yet of down in the chicken coop, or the new chicken coop, and downstairs to see the new babies. They're going to be full grown, but anyway, hello to all of my homies in the chat. Sandra and Chris is a wrench today. I like wrenches. I like to give everybody a wrench because it's like, here, everybody be nice, and all the dedicated people that I know can maybe disagree and not be a total jerk about it, like y'all. Uh, I kind of miss the bigger crowd that I get in my hangouts on my regular channel, but I will say that it has been nice. It's felt more intimate. Just the handful of y'all, I think I've topped out at like 12 or 13 at most for the last few weeks, but it's been nice. The chat's alive, and I feel like we're all just hanging out. I like that. I like that a lot. I actually had to kind of force myself to get on here and do this today because I really don't feel like it. I really don't. But Marty Leeds, he didn't do a hangout this Thursday. And when I got up Friday morning, I was so bummed that I looked forward to his live stream, even though I watch it the morning after, but I get up Friday morning looking forward to watching Marty Leeds. And so I know what it is to look forward to doing something and they're not there. So I'm showing up here today, seriously, for you guys, just to hang out and share with you a little bit of crap you may or may not want to know, and see if anybody wants to come on here and hang out with me. True Love said that she would be popping in and available and might come on and join me. And that would be cool. Let me take a look here. Hello, Sarah Pinkstone. I think Sarah should have a wrench too. And Luke can have a wrench. That's everybody, right? Richard, how's it going, my friend? Hi, Stacy. And yes, you're right. I didn't want to last Sunday, and it went over, and it was okay. But I don't know. It kind of goes over. I am like this weird OCD person, and I like structure. And so that's why I try to come on with a topic, because I dislike listening to things that I don't know what I'm listening to. And you start with one topic and you end up 15 topics later. And sometimes that's okay. And I know how Hangouts can evolve that way. But being that scattered and having no plan and just going off the cuff and not knowing what I'm going to say, that actually causes me a lot more anxiety than coming in and sitting down and having a plan. And I'll tell you what, this is funny because like 2 or 3 days ago, I posted on Facebook and I said, hey, I really don't want to do my hangout this Sunday. Does anybody have any suggestions for a topic that I could go ahead and get triggered on and talk about for a little while for my hangout? And I got a handful of suggestions, which was really nice. I wasn't really feeling at the time any of the topics that were being put forth. And I got up this morning and I was actually kind of stressing about it. And I was like, man, I never did pick a topic. I don't know what I'm going to do, what I'm going to talk about. And I don't even know what I saw. Probably something on I'm sure it was on Facebook. Got on Facebook and saw whatever in my feed of, well, it's become this major battle between the Christians saying, Easter's not Christian and you're a bunch of pagans and God hates pagans and you better stop doing that, and I'll choose to abstain from recognizing Easter because it has nothing to do with Jesus. And and it's this whole debate. And then you got the astrotheologists, which are like, hello, Passover was back on the equinox. And then and then Jews, I still don't understand why Easter falls on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. I mean, I get that the Torah, the Jewish calendar, well, the Torah is not the calendar, but the followers of the Torah follow a lunar calendar, is what I was trying to say. And I don't know anything about that. Admittedly, it's one of the things that's on my to learn list. I've been like completely immersing myself in so much stuff having to do with astrology and like lately. So, God, where was I going with that? Oh, the lunar calendar. So, yeah, I personally, I don't really think that Easter is when they say it is. I really think that it is my very firm opinion from the knowledge that I have gained over the last 20 years, that we're actually supposed to celebrate the equinoxes and the solstices. I mean, not celebrate like, we know that the sun isn't a deity. We know that, we're not bowing down to the sun, isn't coming around and creating everything. However, we do know that there is no life without the sun. My son is pulling in and the dogs are going apeshit. So, man, they are really going nuts too. I don't know how well you guys can hear that. The howling. There he goes. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that's Jake. He is a lab Rottweiler mix, and he was raised by a husky, so he howls. And it's so deep and throaty and so loud, and it like rattles through the house. You can't ignore it when Jake starts to howl. And they do that when Kevin pulls in because they don't see him much and they get all excited. But anyway, yes, it is my contention that this book is astrotheology. And if you go back through history and study just some astrotheology, like Google a YouTube video about it and just watch a half an hour video about astrotheology. It shows you with real clarity how every god throughout history has been a deification, or maybe more accurately, a personification of the sun. I don't actually believe that they deified the sun. I don't believe that they were actually worshiping the sun. And I think that that's part of the program that's given to us to throw us off and confuse us about what we're really supposed to be focusing on and what's important for us. And, we're told that, oh, the ancients were so stupid that, they thought the sun was actually God, and the moon was Satan come to take God away every night, and that they were actually afraid that the sun wouldn't rise in the morning. And I think that is total, utter rubbish. I really don't think that. And I'll tell you, one of the main reasons I don't think that is because they also tell me that the ancients were afraid if they sailed too far, they'd fall off the edge of the earth. And I think the ancients knew damn well what they were doing. I think these cycles run, and this knowledge comes around, and the ancients that we're told are so dumb, they're not. Hi, Martin. Yes, I'll wrench you up. I'm wrenching up everybody. So anyway, I am going to open up the invite for anybody that wants to join, and I will probably send True Love a direct invite if she doesn't show up before I'm done here. But before I do that, I wanted to share something with you guys. It shouldn't take too awful long, but this is what I was doing today. I spent my whole day on the computer reading the Bible today. I got up this morning and I was like, what am I going to talk about? And I was like, well, duh, I'm going to talk about Easter. I'm going to talk about the Bible, I'm going to talk about Easter, and I'm going to talk about astrotheology a little bit. So, what I did, where I started, was I thought, you know what? Does it even use the word Easter in the Bible? Is that word even there? I don't recall specifically seeing it. I've read plenty of Bible in the last 20 years, but I don't know. So I dug out the new Strong's Expanded Exhaustive Concordance with the Bible, of the Bible. This book is so awesome. It is easily one of my favorite books. It is like my prized possession, really. I'm such a Bible nerd. But I looked up Easter in this book. It is mentioned one time in the whole book. And it is mentioned in Acts 12. So I pulled up Acts 12 and I started reading it. And I was so struck by what I was reading because I've read through the Bible, but I haven't really read through it through an astrotheological perspective. I always read through it trying to understand it, meditating on certain things, figuring things out with like a new age kind of perspective. And, you know, this is what I've been doing with my spare time for a couple of decades now. But so I'm really looking at it with new eyes. Every time I get the verse of the day every morning in my email, and I see these things with new eyes now. And so I'm reading Acts 12, and that's what we're going to do here today. And it won't take long. It's not a very long thing, but I want to explain to you what I see when I read this compared to what a standard Christian or a Bible literalist by comparison. I find this really interesting, and I'm going to share my screen with you, and you can check this out. If it'll share my screen. Come on, you can do it. No, that's not what I want. Okay, that's what I'm going to do, though. Right, okay. So you can all see my screen, yes? Give me a thumbs up. Oh, wait, I can see me coming up. Okay, you can see my screen. I'm going to go through this quick as I can. Shouldn't take too long. Now about that time Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church, and he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. I always say the Bible contradicts itself left and right. A lot of people say God's word never contradicts itself. Well, if you think that, you've never read the book. It's constantly contradicting itself. And in my experience, when it contradicts itself, it's because it's not literal. It's trying to tell you, look at what you just read. Look at it and ask it what it's trying to tell you, okay? He killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. We're going to remember that because we're going to see that again later. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. So we've killed James and we've kidnapped Peter. And that's when they didn't have yeast for their bread, apparently. That seems legit, right? This is clearly telling you something else. These are the things that you have to investigate. You don't just read that like a book. Then were the days of the unleavened bread. Why would somebody tell you that? Yeah, my brother turned 26 and we had a really awesome birthday party. And those were the days of the special whole wheat bread, right? Like, that's a stupid, like, pay attention to what you're reading. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him. 4 is a special number. 4 specifically puts you in a physical state of mind. 4 represents the square of the earth. It's the 4 winds. It's the 4 directions. It's 4 represents the physicality. So he apprehends him, puts him in prison, and delivered him, puts him in the middle of physicality to be held there, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. It's the only place in the whole Bible that that word appears. So Peter is bound to his humanness, and after Easter, they're going to bring him forth to the people and probably stone him. Peter, therefore, was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him. And when Herod would have brought him forth, the same night Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains, and the keepers before the door kept the prison. These numbers are significant. Why would they specify that? They're not just trying to paint a picture for you, but they are. This is symbolism. And I'm telling you what, they're setting Peter up to be crucified just like Christ. 2 soldiers and 2 chains are the 4 wounds of the hands and the feet. And behold, the angel of the Lord came upon him, and a light shined in the prison, and he smote Peter on the side and raised him up, saying, Arise up quickly. And his chains fell off from his hands. I looked up the word smote because I was like, smote? I thought that was a pretty violent thing. It is. The angel came and cranked him one in the side. So he's got the 4 wounds already between the 2 shoulders and the 2 chains. And then he gets smote in the side, just like Christ on the cross took the 5th wound. Hi, Kevin. Window. That's the 5th wound. That's the wound of the 5th sense. That's when all 5 senses died symbolically. And the ego was released. And Christ, the anointed one, rises within you and lights up your head. That's where heaven is. That's where God is, in the temple that's built without hands. And that is earlier in Acts. It's like Acts 6. Because after I read through 12, I was really interested and I wanted a little pretext. So I went back to the beginning of Acts and read through. But so Peter is sleeping between 2 soldiers bound with 2 chains, and the keepers before the door kept the prison. And the angel comes down, smotes him in the side, raises him up, saying, Arise up quickly, and the chains fell away. And the angel said unto him, and now here's a whole bunch of symbology, and I can prove to you that this is not literal. The angel said unto him, Gird thyself, and bind on thy sandals. And so he did. And he saith unto him, Cast thy garments about thee, and follow me. Angel's like, grab your shit, dude, we're out of here, right? So, gird thyself. They tell you, oh, that means, put on your clothes and tie your belt around your garment. That's not what it means. To gird is specifically related to the chest. It's about your chest. Unless it says, gird thy loins, which is clearly a little bit south. But to gird thyself is a metaphysical thing that happens in your chest. And it is my contention that it is the opening or the embracing of your heart chakra. They say Christ lives behind your heart. And I know this isn't telling him to get dressed. And bind on thy sandals. That means open your heart and ground yourself. Pay attention to your heart and your feet. And so he did. And he saith unto him, cast thy garment about thee and follow me. Why's he got him tying a garment he's not even wearing? If it's a literal thing and his girding the chest is actually tying his robe or whatever. He doesn't even have his garment on. He tells him, gird your chest, bind your feet, get dressed, we're out of here. And the garment that he puts on is actually the aura that comes about you when you are being uplifted. It's the raising of the Kundalini. And I know Christians like to run around. They say that's evil and don't mess with your third eye and don't do any of this stuff. But this stuff is all in this book. It's in here. And he went out and followed him and wist not that it was true, which was done by the angel, but thought he saw a vision. I looked up wist. Well, first, to go back to Easter, Easter was basically the Aramaic translation, close enough translation to Passover. Gird, I got gird. Okay, sorry, I keep forgetting you can't see me. You're looking at my screen, and I'm looking at my notes here. So the wist was a he couldn't comprehend. He was incapable of comprehending if what he was seeing was actually happening or if he was dreaming or having some kind of vision. Now here it comes. Here's your Kundalini. When they were past the first and the second ward, they came unto the iron gate that leadeth up unto the city. That's your Kundalini. Past the first and the second ward, they came to the iron gate. The iron gate is the top of your spine. And now here's something really interesting. I am loving Marty Leeds. I love his septenary cipher based on the number 7 that he says came to him out of the Bible. And I can see by his explanation where he got that. And I like that it always works. It doesn't sometimes work and sometimes it doesn't. You have to go look for another cipher. It always works. And I wondered, just for curiosity's sake, if I used Marty's cipher, what iron gate would come out to. And iron gate comes out to 33. It's because it's the 33rd. Oh my gosh, what's the word I want? The 33rd spine in your back, not your spine, your vertebrae. Oh my God, that really hurt. So yeah, the 33rd vertebrae, that's where the iron gate is. The city is your head. The city, that's where you meet Jesus. Jesus is at the gates of the city. So and Kundalini rises from your root chakra to your crown chakra, and it is said to circle your body like a serpent 3.5 times. So it goes through the first pass, and then the second, and then it gets to your head, which is the iron gate. And then it finishes up through there, which opened to them of his own accord. The gate is apparently male, which tells you this is happening inside of Peter. This is a thing that he is experiencing in himself. He gets past the first two passes of his Kundalini. He makes it to the iron gate, and it opens all by itself because we can't force this to happen. They say you have to sit and wait on the Lord, and that is what they're telling you. They're telling you to sit and meditate and wait. You just have to sit. You just have to be quiet. This happens. It happens naturally, and you cannot force it. You can try to take drugs to make happen, and you can try to listen to certain frequencies and do certain guided meditations. But the fact is, until your vibration is right and until you possess that seed that rises in the Christos oil inside of you, until that is happening, you just have to wait, and you can't force it. So the gate opened of his own accord, and they went out and passed on through one street, and forthwith the angel departed from him. One street, you would think that that's just one, but that completes the pass through the Kundalini, because you're dealing with a city. How much is one street when you're dealing with an entire city? You're at the gates of a city and it's all laid out in front of you, and the angel traveled to the first street with him and then departed and left him. And when Peter was come to himself, and I looked that up too, because I was like, well, what exactly does that mean? What are these words that are being translated? Well, the word that translates is, oh, I'm sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. That's under considered a thing. When Peter was come to himself, he said, now I know of a surety that the Lord hath sent his angel and hath delivered me out of the hand of Herod and from all the expectation of the people of the Jews. I looked up expectation. What were the people expecting? Basically, it comes down to a direct translation of this is going to be really bad and it's going to be violent. So he was basically waiting to be dragged out and stoned to death. And when he had considered the thing, that's what I looked up. What does considered the thing mean? So I looked up considered, and I am going to read it to you real quick. I did not bookmark it, but I have the page number on my notes, so give me 1 second. Okay, maybe 10 seconds. Somebody give me a count. Page 110. And this book, oh my gosh, could not be bigger, and the pages are so thin. They're hard to get a hold of. I lied, that's the wrong page. I was looking at the one above it. I'm looking for page 241. Second and first. To understand or become aware and to be conscious and clandestinely informed of. And I'm like, clandestinely informed of. Well, let's get a really, really specific definition of clandestine. Characterized by, done in, or executed with secrecy or concealment, especially for purposes of subversion or deception, private or surreptitious. It's something that's done in secret, in private. And when he had considered the thing, he got this revelation in secret, in private, in himself, just like Jesus tells you in the New Testament to go to the back of your closet and pray to your Father in secret, because what is heard in secret will be rewarded openly. It's a secret. It's something that he's sitting and doing quietly. It's an experience he's having. And after he considered it, he came to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was Mark. I still am not sure why. I could sit and study just this page for a week. And I only did it for like 3 or 4 hours today. That's all the time I had. So I don't know what everything means, but I am thinking about taking it apart because now I'm curious. I don't know why they tell you that her surname is Mark. But the mother of John, whose surname is Mark, where many were gathered together praying. And as Peter knocked at the door of the gate, a damsel came to hearken named Rhoda. These names are all significant. That's why they're there. This book is not just written. Nothing in this book is by accident. It's just like when you watch the news. When you watch the news and you're watching something about a false flag, nothing is there by accident. They put every word in there specifically for a purpose. Every number, every word, every name, it's all important. And it's the same with your Bible. And when she knew Peter's voice, she opened not the gate for gladness, but ran in and told how Peter stood before the gate. And they said unto her, Thou art mad. But she constantly affirmed that it was even so. And then said they, It is his angel. Here is an interesting little nugget of confusion for me. It is his angel. I thought, well, what does that mean? Are they thinking it's his ghost? And so I wondered how many times the word ghost appears in the Bible. Ghost appears tons of times and has 9 different translations. There's 9 different words used for ghost that mean varying degrees and tenses of the same basic idea. When you look up this word angel, it is the only word angel in the whole list that doesn't have a reference number next to it. So I cannot go and look up the exact word that was used and translate it. And which is what made me look up ghost. I thought, well, do they have a word for ghost? And so I looked up ghost. Turns out there's 9 different words that mean ghost and are used in varying forms. But this word is undefined in this book. I thought that was interesting. But Peter continued knocking, and when they had opened the door and he saw him, they were astonished. But he, beckoning unto them with the hand to hold their peace, he said, Shh, declared unto them how the Lord had brought him out of the prison. And he said, Go shew these things unto James and to the brethren. And he departed and went into another place. I repeat, go show these things to James. James is going to be really interested in this, don't you think? Wait a minute. Didn't James die in the second line? James is dead. He was killed with sword. But down here, once it's all done, he's like, hey, go out and tell James about this because he's going to want to know. And he went off somewhere else. You don't say. Now, as soon as it was day, there was no small stir among the soldiers that was become of Peter. So the soldiers are awake now, and they're like, where in the hell did this guy go? And when Herod had sought for him and found him not, he examined the keepers and commanded that they should be put to death. And he went down from Judea to Caesarea and there abode. And Herod was highly displeased with them of Tyre and Sidon, but then came with one accord to him, and having made Blastus the king's chamberlain their friend, desired peace, because their country was nourished by the king's country. And upon a set day, Herod, arrayed in royal apparel, sat upon his throne and made an ornation upon them. And the people gave a shout, saying, It is the voice of a God and not of a man. Immediately the angel of the Lord smote him, because he gave not God the glory, and he was eaten of worms and gave up the ghost. So Herod apparently dropped dead right there and was eaten by worms right in front of everybody. And the word of the Lord grew and multiplied. And Barnabas and Saul returned from Jerusalem when they had fulfilled their ministry, and took with them John, whose surname was Mark. And we're moving on. But do you see what I'm saying about this? This is a deeply esoteric book. This is a deeply esoteric book, and you cannot read it as a literal history book. It actually means something if you read it without being literal, without thinking that you're talking about a real man. I mean, the where is it? In the description of this video, it says, God created man with original sin, then destroyed most of them for sinning. Then he impregnated a woman with himself as their child, so that he could be born. Later, he killed himself as a sacrifice to himself to save us from all the sin he gave us in the first place. From then on, the world became plentiful with rabbits that lay and hide chocolate and multicolored chicken eggs on the first full moon after the spring equinox. Happy Easter. So, I don't know. I am really digging the astrotheology that is in this book, and Jesus is the Son. Whether anybody wants to believe it or not, I mean, it couldn't be more obvious to me. And I think Easter is silly. I think it's so silly that I actually forgot that it was Easter today. That's how much I'm like, I could not give less of a shit. The big day for me was back on the equinox. That was the special day. That was the equal time of the day and night. You know, that's when the energy was balanced. And we know it's energy now because we know that the sun is close and local, and so is the moon. And we're pretty sure we're dealing with an electromagnetic system. So I think it's important that not only was the day and night perfectly balanced, but it was a new moon. So the night was even without the moon. So I don't even know what that would do with the energy, because that's if the moon is nearest the sun during the new moon. I mean, clearly it's not being backlit by the sun in such a degree that it's invisible, because that's just dumb. But if the moon is closer to the sun during the balance of the day and the night energy, I wonder, because I had a really rough day on the equinox. I was kind of cranky and uptight and just really, I don't know, there was something about, and it was bugging me. And I was really bummed because I was looking forward to having this like totally hippy dippy freaking meditatey chill zone type of equinox, but it didn't happen because it just, man, there was such chaos in the air. It's been like that for the last couple of days for me too. It's been kind of spotty on and off ever since that equinox. I mean, it was only, what, 10 days ago. So anyway, I'm going to shut my big trap now. And oh, Stacy lost Wi-Fi. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Speaking of sun, what's up with mother, father, daughter, and son? What do you mean by that, Stacy? You mean biblically? Biblically? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, what the hell's my problem? See, this is why I'm like, man, I don't want to go on. I feel all, I don't know, like tripping over my lips and my brain. But I don't know if this is what you mean or not, but I'm going to talk about it anyway for a minute because, you know, I'm talking about it. But the whole son, moon, father, son, we don't really hear about daughters. When we do, it's usually sons and daughters. It's like a generalization of children, usually when it's mentioned. But I have come to think of, I think of everything in dualistic terms, as far as the thing and its opposite in and of itself, and then I think of it in a dualistic micro macro, and I go all over the place with that. Like my brain goes all over the place with stuff like that. And I have thought for a long time, like I started watching Bill Donahue about 10, 12 years ago, I guess. And Bill Donahue changed my life. He is the most amazing teacher, the way he can help you identify with what you're looking at and the way he explains things. And he's so funny and charismatic, and he's a great teacher. But from watching him, I came to the conclusion through the 10 Commandments that it's not talking about your mother and father. It can't be. It is impossible for the 10 Commandments to be talking about your mother and father. This is a fact. It has to be a fact. It is my personal opinion that is a fact. But it is my personal opinion because I was molested as a child. Am I supposed to honor him? Is that supposed to be okay? And I'm supposed to do what he tells me to because he's my father and I'm supposed to honor him? Like, that makes no sense. Some parents, probably more parents than not, are completely shit parents. I know more people that say, oh my God, I had the worst parents ever, than people that say, well, I had a pretty good childhood. And that's really saying something. So I don't believe that there's any way that my creator, my I want to say esoteric creator, but that's not the word I want. My metaphysical creator wants me to victimize myself according to the wishes of my mother and father, no matter what, because that's just one of the rules. And I think that's crap. And I think that's one of the first steps to actually thinking about this book logically. I don't think you're not supposed to use your logic. You're supposed to use your logic. And you know what? 98% of this is going to rub your logic in the entirely wrong way. And people go along with it. And they're like, oh, well, God's word is perfect. Well, it is. It is perfect. And it's amazing. And it's so interesting and so revealing. But it's not literal. It's not literal. We can't gird clothes we're not even wearing. And we can't have someone die at the top that's alive by the bottom. It doesn't make any sense. This has deeper meaning to it. And so after watching Bill for a long time, I got to thinking that because New Testament tells you when you pray like this. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. That's a pretty powerful prayer if you break it down symbolically. That's a different show, though, or maybe it's later in this show. But specifically, you're told, our Father is in heaven. And the first page in Genesis tells us that the earth is the opposite of heaven. The earth is the mirror of heaven. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. First thing he did, first breath, heaven and earth. Two things, one creation. It was a mirror. As above, so below, on earth as it is in heaven. So if your Father's in heaven, it only makes perfect sense to me that the material itself, your materiality is the mother. When the spirit, the Father, pardon me for being vulgar for a second, comes into the mother, which is the form, the material, your physical. When the spirit comes into the physical, you have the child. We are the sons and daughters of the Most High, of God, of the Creator, because our Father came into our mother and created us. So that is how I have thought about it for about 10 years now. However, I've recently, in the last year, since getting to know Santos Bonacci, also been thinking about things in a microcosm, not a micro all the way down to my physicality specifically, but a smaller section than the whole thing that is the everything split in two. It's a little bit smaller than that. And that has me thinking that the house, astrologically, that the sun was in when you were born is your Father in heaven. And the moon is your mother. And when the moon is in your sun sign, a seed that is the Christ is planted within you. And that is when you are supposed to do what Peter did and take the 5 wounds, which is meditating. It's dying. They see it as dying. They use dying as a metaphor for it because when you meditate, you are everywhere and nowhere. You are everything and nothing. You are as silent as you can be. Your mind is quiet, and you just are. You just be. And it's so profound if you can really be in that space and really comprehend the space that you're in. I mean, in my opinion, I have found it to be a very profound experience to really, truly be in this God-given moment that we have, because we only have the one. And we create this trinity with it, this past, present, future thing, and we live out this life like it's an actual real thing, but it's not. It's not a tangible thing. The only thing that is tangible is this, right here, right now. And it's gone. And it's gone. And it's gone. Like, so you're right here. And so when the moon goes into your sun sign, that is why I have been doing this meditating and fasting some during the 3 days that the moon is in my sun sign. When the moon goes into Aries, my mother hooking up with daddy is in the house of my dad. And so that's when I get the most incredible brain squeaks. I call them brain squeaks forever. It's just, that thing, that moment that you're like, oh, I just like had an epiphany, or wow, I didn't think about that. These things, they just kind of, I think that because our horoscope, our birth chart, our astrology is so personal to us. No one else there, you're such an individual. No one else has your specific chart, because even somebody that was born at the exact same moment was not born under the exact same sky that you were. Unless you had two babies born at the exact same time, exact same moment, in the same hospital, like a room apart, then they would have matching charts, I would think. But nobody literally sees the world from your personal perspective. And the more I am learning about astrotheology and what it's teaching me, and digging into my Bible and seeing it through those eyes and what that's teaching me, the more I learn so much stuff that I don't learn. I don't research it. I don't go look it up. I mean, I do eventually, but I learn things because I spend 3 days meditating when, the moon is in my sun sign, and just shit pops off in my head, and I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? And it's like a download that hits you, and then something hits me in 30 seconds, and then I spend the next half an hour trying to organize it and write down what I was thinking and how it came through. And it's just, that is, in my opinion, the Holy Ghost at work. We are Jesus. Jesus is a metaphor for the human, and we are Jesus, and we raise the Christ. We become the anointed one when we practice this astrotheology. And it is my contention that this is true, because it has been my experience. It's been 1 full year, last month, 1 full year that I've been in this practice every month. And it's pagan as all get up. I mean, I'm going straight to hell as far as most Christians are concerned. I'm not praising the moon or praising the sun. I'm not worshiping anything. I am sitting in peace, in quiet, in secret, in the temple where my Father lives, and spending time seeking what he has to show me. And he shows me a lot. I mean, it's really mind-blowing sometimes. So that is my current view on the mother and the father, as far as the major macro and slightly smaller micro goes. Bill Donahue also teaches that in the Bible, the female is always subservient to the man because the female represents your emotional nature, and the masculine, the male, represents your intellectual nature. And that's why there's husbands and wives and whores and men that like whores. And it's because um, the whore or the unwed mother, or that derogatory term that she gets, she is that term because she is wildly emotional. She is that batshit crazy chick that you went out with one freaking time and you didn't hit it off, you didn't have much in common, you didn't call her again, and your car got keyed, and she called your boss and tried to get you fired, and you're like, what the hell is your problem? That's the whore in the Bible. That's the person that is living from the most base, animalistic, emotional response. They are living their life from that place. And your wife doesn't do that. Your wife is a higher level of emotion. Your wife is empathy and compassion and nurturing and kindness. It's not jealousy and anger and the volatile nature. That's the difference between them, and that's the symbology that's used in the Bible. And the husband is the higher intellect. The When you are actually seeking, because the Bible tells you, seek first the kingdom of God, and all of these things will be added to you. And it's because we are not supposed to sit down with a pen and paper and try to figure everything out for ourselves. I mean, you can certainly live your life that way, and you can go far that way. We figure things out. It's what we do. It's our curious nature as humans, but you don't have to. Things are so much easier if you just get in the flow and let it take you where it's going. And when you meditate, things tend to come together. Synchronicity seems to happen. The right people end up in your path, or the exact thing you wanted goes on sale for the exact amount of money you can afford to spend on it. I mean, these things work out. You can try to figure it out the best you can all by yourself, but you have a father in heaven, an energetic father that creates everything with or without you and wants to work through you. So why wouldn't you let it smooth the path? I call it my father. I don't like the G word a whole lot. It tends to trigger people. Um, Creator. I dislike creator because it makes me think of a giant above a terrarium looking down on me like, what are my humans doing today? I don't like that. So I don't know. I go with Father, help me, Father. Thank you, Father. I I feel that. And it's funny, not funny, haha, but I never had a father. My actual father died, was shot and killed when I was 10 months old. And well, we all know now, if we didn't before, that my stepfather was a complete piece of shit. So I've never had a father. My heavenly father is the only father I've ever really claimed as a father. And oh my God, I'm watching my 10-second ago self look at through my, hand like that. And I totally am so gonna get rung through the ringer if I get any trolls over that. But so, assuming that that's what you were actually asking me, that is my take on the sons and mothers and fathers and etc. And Martin, yes, Martin likes to take me to bed with him. I have a feeling he finishes me off in the morning. So there's always that. Why is bedtime a thing of the past for you, Sandra? You having trouble sleeping? Oh, people are not Martin's thing. Well, Martin, I think that There's a lot of people here that would probably agree with that. I think most of us feel that way. People are not our thing. I have been told off so many times in the last couple of days. It is just absurd. I'm actually surprised I wasn't a little bit more raring to go and kind of even a little condescending about what I wanted to talk about today, because I have just been so triggered and so harped on for the last couple days. And it's never a decent discussion. It's always, I'm just the peak of stupidity. Anyway, smotes. You don't know what smotes is, Martin, or did you already look it up? Smite, smote. Well, smote's the past tense of smite. Oh my goodness. Yes, my birthday is the 5th of April. Hello, Rebecca's Way. Hello, Kaz. Pardon me here. I am just scrolling through, catching up here. If you guys have any questions or anything, I mean, I definitely don't know everything, but if I have a clue, I'll tell you what I think. I am definitely not shy about saying what I think. There, we're gonna wrench the newcomers. Everybody gets a wrench today. And keep your friends close, and that keeps the enemies away, right? Although, you know what? I don't have any dedicated trolls anymore. I think they got bored with me because I don't snap and, make this troll is a pain in my ass videos or anything. I just kind of ignore them and block them and whatever. I think they get bored and they go away. Oh, Stacy, if you want some Santos, I have a couple of Santos things, lectures, bookmark that I like to give to newbies, because it's a good place to start. When I was first getting into him, the only thing that really kept me hanging on was he talks about so much astrology and so much biblical stuff that I knew if I hung in there, I would get it eventually because I had enough background in both things. But I have since watched a lot of his stuff and saved a couple videos that are really good starting places, where you get some background and a little bit of understanding about what he's talking about, because he definitely has his own style and way of doing things. So I have your email, I'm pretty sure. I will shoot you over. Oh yeah, you emailed me, so I have an email. I'll shoot you over a couple of links that you can start with whenever you're feeling froggy. Yeah, see, Sandra, you don't get everything he says, but it's because you don't have the background. And I'm super nerdy. I'll download a bunch of stuff and put it all on like 1.5 speed and plug it into my ears and do housework and whatever, listening to this stuff. And because I have a firm enough grasp of astrology and such already, when he's drawing stuff and I know he's drawing stuff, I can see what he's drawing in my head because I already have a grasp of what it looks like. Okay. Oh, and offers open. If anybody wants to come play with me, shoot me an email. conspiracymystic@gmail.com. I'm gonna copy that and paste it out again in a little bit. Aw, thanks, Chris. Chris says this is his favorite hangout of the last few weeks. See, that's why I'm here. Didn't really want to do it. And I was like, worst case scenario, we won't talk about anything and we'll just sit in a chat and we can all BS. I even thought, you know what, if I end up not going on at all, I'll just leave it open so the chat can run and y'all can BS in there. Because I think that's the coolest thing about Hangouts. So many Hangouts come through and the chat is full and nobody's barely even listening to what is being said on the screen because they're all just talking amongst each other. I think it's nice for a lot of people to have an outlet where you can talk with like-minded people like this. That's not Facebook. Not that YouTube is all that much removed from Facebook at this point, but you know what I mean. Seeds planted when moon goes into your sign. Really? No kidding. I've never heard that. I've always planted with the moon though. Above the soil goes in during the growing light, and the root veggies go in the dark. That's what it says. See, there's so much about our natural world like that that is presented to us. We're shown this in the Farmer's Almanac. It's an old farmer's book. Farmers have been planting by the almanac for like 150 years. I think that thing has been around. And it's different every year. And I don't think their predictions of the coming seasons are all that good. I've heard, oh, it's going to be a horrible winter, and it wasn't. You know, I think that's kind of a crapshoot, really. They're guessing, best guess. I mean, it's bad enough we ask a stupid groundhog what he thinks, but I don't put much weight in that. But and I can't honestly say I put a lot of weight in planting with the moon, except for that I always do it. I know I've always believed that it was a legitimate thing to do, and I even more so believe it now. I've never noticed any difference, but I don't think I've really ever done it not with the moon. It's always I've always had a natural affinity to the nature around me, to natural rhythms and cycles. I think it is so ridiculous that we are told that acknowledging these rhythms and cycles and grooving with them is pagan. It's bad. It's wrong. God doesn't like that. God made the freaking cycles. He made the cycles and then told you everything in the sky is for signs. But don't look at it and don't pay attention to it, because that's evil. It doesn't make any sense to me. Oi. Stacy's realm is a Leo, and all you know is how you feel as a Leo with the equinox. Oh, more yuck, huh? Yeah. Luke's dog. Happy birthday, Luke's dog. Oh, and happy birthday, Chris. Oh, you know what, Stacy? I bet you Leo doesn't suck as much as you think it does. Have you ever had a birth chart done? Birth charts are the peak of interesting, and I'm going to throw a link out here in case anybody wants to check this out. I keep the link around because I use it a lot, and I actually have a saved link for the chart, the birth chart of myself and everybody in my family. Because sometimes I'm like, I wonder, and I go pull stuff up and just see. But I am currently reading this book. Here is the free birth chart. The only information you have to give up is the date and time of your birth and the location of it. You don't have to give your name or anything, and you don't have to put your email address in. If you do, it'll send you something in your email, but when you hit enter with no email address, it just takes you to the next page, which is your birth chart. And if you save that link, it will take you back to that page for years. So I have mine saved in a folder, and I reference it pretty regularly because I'm a nerd like that. But I am currently reading The Light of Egypt, and I don't know if it's in here right now or not. There it is. I got this one because Santos recommended it, and it is very interesting. And I got this one because Santos recommended it. Your health in your horoscope. And see, I have our birth charts folded up in here because I was reading and referencing, but this goes through. I don't know if anybody is aware of this. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you guys have no idea about any of this. And I am still learning, so I am not like all knowledgeable, but I do the best I can. You see this picture of this dude? How he is kind of curled up around backwards and his feet are on top of his head. That is how The signs. Okay, first of all, can we just point out real quick that the Bible says the stars are for signs, and the zodiac are literally called the signs of the zodiac? Just saying. So, this is how the human rests in the zodiac and the parts of the zodiac that affect the parts of the human. And your head is affected by Aries, and your feet are affected by Pisces, which is why you're bent over around like that, because Pisces is at the end of the wheel, and then it starts again in Aries. Aries is always the beginning of the year. It's the spring. It's the new year. And so Aries rules your head. It rules things like headaches and tumors and, things of that nature. And I believe Taurus rules the throat, and not Pisces, Gemini is the lungs, I believe, but it goes to, I don't know them all off the top of my head at the moment. It's been like a month since I picked up anything astrology related, and I am still kind of new to it. But your health and your horoscope book is really super interesting, and it goes through and it talks about having different signs or different planets in different signs, and what kind of health issues you're actually prone to because of that. And I am finding it to be eerily accurate. But my birth chart is also eerily accurate. I always thought horoscopes were silly, like a sideshow act. It's not real. I mean, you're talking about, yeah, suns hundreds of trillions of light years away are affecting me because of the moment that I was born. That's dumb. So stupid, not so stupid anymore. And but with my horoscope, see, I'm an Aries, and I'm a leader. I have leadership qualities. I tend to be a natural leader. I get chosen to be the leader. If I'm in a group of people and they're like, okay, somebody needs to be in charge of organizing this, everybody turns to me and I'm like, fine. Because I have a natural charisma about me. I have a natural way of banding people together. And I have a good organizational way of laying out plans and getting things started, but I do tend to lose steam and abandon things. So I'm not much on follow through. It's one of my major downfalls, but I'm really great in leadership qualities, and I'm a really good starter. I start like I'm on fire, and then I fizzle out later. But but that's it. I don't have any other Aryan qualities. I'm not an Aries for all intents and purposes. I'm actually very watery in nature. I'm an empath. I tend to overfeel everything. I don't like going out to movies because every movie will end up making me cry at some point. And I hate crying in public, but it's like, I can't help it. I'm not, oh, that's so sad. I'm I am automatically feeling what they're feeling or what they're acting like they're feeling. The feelings that they are trying to portray, I feel them and I can't help it. And I try to put a lid on it, like, holy shit, calm down, take a breath, chill. But it's like I become overwhelmed and it leaks out of my eyes. I'm not a blubbering, bawling person, but I am very, very easily overwhelmed and I cry. I can be overwhelmed because I'm happy and I'll cry. I can be overwhelmed because that is just so beautiful and I'll cry. I can be so angry that I'm shaking and I will cry. It's not directly related to sadness. It's any kind of feeling. Once I feel it, it's larger than life. And so I cry. And it's like, what kind of Aries is this? I'm like the biggest wet blanket in the Aryan community. Well, I got my birth chart done, and I have just this ridiculous number of crap in water signs. Hold on, I'm going to pull my chart up here. I'm not going to show it to you because, well, I think that's a little creepy. But Yeah, let me see. I have got Jupiter is in Cancer. Um, what's that? That is Pluto is in Pisces. Uranus is in Scorpio. Like I've got an overwhelming amount of water. Or not Sagittarius. Mars is in Pisces. Mars is like the Aries planet. Mars is like the god of war, and mine is in the big fat middle of this puddle of tears. So, I mean, there really is something to be said for your birth chart. It really changed my opinion of what horoscopes are and the accuracy of them, because mine is like spot on, right down to the addiction issues I have and the addiction issues I have had and the particular things that I have had addiction issues with. Like, it is so amazing. So that's why when Santos said, "Oh, this is an excellent book," I was probably on Amazon ordering it before he finished showing the cover, because I was like, I need that book. And it is so interesting to me. I'm such a nerd about that stuff. Okay, back to you guys. Who's making flapjacks? Are you guys saying flapjack because I said Groundhog's Day? Because if you are, that would be cool. Oh my gosh, Teresa Gordon in the house. Hey, Teresa, how's it going? Teresa gets a wrench. Hey, Zach, how are you? You can have a wrench too. Wrenches all around today. Scrolling. Teresa gets along with Leos. My moon is a Leo moon. I have sun in Aries, moon in Leo. Know thyself. Absolutely, Rebecca. That is, what else can you know? I mean, if you really think about it, really think about it, there is nothing in the world that you can ever 100% truly know except yourself. And again, you go back to Christianity that tells you don't meditate. You let demons in. You don't let demons in. You connect to God. And they tell you that you shouldn't open your pineal gland. That's satanic. That lets demons in too. Well, I'll tell you what, I was born with a perfectly fully functioning pineal gland. It was disabled for me. I cannot believe in my logic mind, we go back to logic again. I cannot believe in my logical mind that the people that calcified my pineal gland were actually doing me a favor. Oh, it's a trick. It's oh my God, I was just told this a couple months ago too. It's a trick. It's oh my God, reverse psychology. They're telling you, they're making it look like they took it from you, so you'll decalcify it for yourself so they can get you. Like, really? You think they put that much thought into it, do you? It's not enough that I have, Christians running around trying to beat me over the head with a Bible telling me it's evil. When Jesus says, if your eye is single, your body fills with light, and your pineal gland literally creates melatonin that is literally a skin pigment lightener. I mean, this is not an accident. This is real stuff. Your Bible, where did I put it? Here it is. I want to keep picking it up. I want to be all the Bible. But your Bible, it is a map of the stars, and it is an owner manual for your body. It is as above, so below. It is the macro and the micro. It's all in here. How many people have said, I wish women came with a manual? They do. Men too. I mean, it's not the same shallow thing that you might be looking for. What's my date thinking? Will she suck my dick? I don't know. We'll see. This is not what this is for. But this is a manual to know yourself. The Temple of King Solomon, it has an inner area and an outer area, and the inner and outer areas are called the pia mater and the dura mater. These words are in this book. Your pia mater and your dura mater are parts of your brain. It's translates to soft mother and hard mother. The hard mother is the section on the outside, and then the soft mother, I believe, is the pia mater, is on the inside, and that's where God lives, is in the soft mother. I mean, these words, hippocampus means white seahorse. Supposedly Jesus is coming back on a white horse. Well, guess where he's coming? Right out of your hippocampus, in your brain. It's in your brain. This is a natural biological function. But we're scared away from it. That's pagan. It's evil. You're worshiping the sun. God hates that. That's the only way I know to know God, is to know myself and to look at my surroundings without listening to anything anybody else said, and without picking up a book and actually reading what someone else said. The only way that you can actually know is to actually look at it, to know yourself, to know inside yourself, to have integrity so your inside matches your outside, which is really, 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 really probably the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, that I've learned, is that the inside has to match the outside, or your manifestation is chaos. It has to be congruent, or it doesn't come out right. But it's the only way to really know God, is to touch in yourself and to look out there at the natural things that were created by your Father, not by men or their ideas, but I mean, that tree, you're observing nature. Even Jesus says, look at the lilies in the field. It tells you to look at nature. Look at what nature's doing. Observe what it's doing and how it sits peacefully and quietly, and it doesn't have to try. And the Father just works through it, and it just happens. It just works. And it's true. It just does. You just have to quit trying to force it, quit trying to figure it all out for yourself, and spend a few minutes with a clear mind and let it talk to you. You can't ever hear it if you're always talking over it, yappity yap yap yapping. I mean, God, we spend 3/4 of our waking time having long drawn out conversations in our heads with people that aren't even present. And they're conversations that have either already happened that we wish we could change, or ones that we wish we could have, or that we're planning to have. And we may or may not ever even have these conversations. But we keep our body in this constant state of fight or flight anxiety, having these screaming matches with people in our heads. And it's always negative stuff. You don't sit and get lost in thought about how much you want to tell somebody how much you love them. No, you want to tell them off about the thing that they did that pissed you off, because that's what we are drawn to as human beings, with these petty little egos. We just want to be snarky and snipe about everything. We want to be victimized so we can say, oh, woe is me. I'm sorry, that was like a tangent that went really come out of left field and went somewhere. I'm sorry about that. Oh, the link isn't working, huh? Didn't work for any of you. Okay, well, let me pull up a different link. That's weird that it didn't work. But we'll try it again. I'm afraid it's going to be the same link. I don't see why it would be different, but it works fine for me. I'm taking it out of my browser and pasting it. alabe.com/free chart. alabe.com/free chart. Yeah, I don't know. See if that one works. Stacy is currently reading Weird Scenes Inside the Canyons. What is that? What's it about? What's the genre? What kind of book is it? Okay, where did I lost? Okay, there we are. Oh, we're talking about Stacy's book. Cool. I love new books. Although, you know what? I used to really love reading. I used to be a real bookworm, but anymore, I can't even get into fiction. I don't enjoy it. I can't shut my head up long enough to focus on something that isn't real and doesn't matter because there's so much that is real that does matter. And I'm not even talking like news and current events and stuff. I'm talking like I would really rather be watching or reading your health and your horoscope or the Bible. I really enjoyed going through Acts today and reading all of that. It's nice to get an idea in your head and then have it reinforced for you, be able to read through something and say, no, that is definitely what this is telling me. And that storyline is so predominant through the whole Bible. I mean, Moses was the Jesus of the Aryan age, which came before the Piscean age, which is where we are now. The procession. I'm having issues tonight for real. You would think I was drinking. I swear I'm not. The precession of the equinoxes goes backwards from the way that we are used to astrology going. So instead of going from Aries to Taurus, or from Pisces to Aries to Taurus, it went from Taurus to Aries to Pisces. And that's why, the Jews are still blowing on a ram's horn, because that's what Moses did. Moses came down and they were worshiping a bull. And that's because Moses left them and told them, I'm going to go commune with God, and went up there and was talking to the ram god. And they got bored down there going, well, I don't think he's coming back. And so they went back to their old ways and fashioned themselves a golden bull, because before Aries, it was Taurus. And when he came back down, he was so pissed off that they couldn't even wait for 5 freaking minutes. And they went back to their old ways, worshiping the bull, that he threw the clay tablets and broke them in a rage over it. But that's the astrology in the Bible. It's the age of Aries, and now we're in the age of Pisces, and I think we're out of the age of Pisces. I believe personally that, and nobody knows, they've screwed our calendar up so bad. Supposedly the most accurate calendar out there is the Jewish lunar calendar, and I'm not even sure I believe that. I mean, I really don't believe that anything's accurate anymore, because it just, they stand to benefit too much by it not being accurate. They don't want us knowing when these special days are, when the energy is balanced in our world, when the energy is right to actually commune with God and manifest things in your life. They don't want you to know when you can do this. Why would they? They're busy, screwing us up really bad. So I don't know. It's craziness. Stacy, you want to come on here with me? I see you sent me an email. Is that to get a link by chance? Come on and spend the last half hour with me. Oh, that's interesting. It worked when you typed it in, Luke. That's interesting. Oh, we're all doing charts now. That's cool. I think charts are so interesting. They really are. Oh, Sandra's off to let the dog have a wee. Oh, how are my sprouts? They are neglected. I made a bunch. Well, I sprouted a bunch and ate them. They were really good. Alfalfa sprouts are really good. They kind of remind me of clover. If any of you have ever eaten clover, they have that pleasant sweetness to them. It's nice. But I did my first jar of them and ate them, and they were getting kind of wilty as I was getting to the bottom of them. So I chopped them up and fed them to my dogs, which dogs love vegetables. Most people don't know that. Dogs love vegetables. Abby, who I miss so much, we lost her, 6-9 months ago. She used to love asparagus. I would break the bottom, the woody part of the asparagus off, and she'd take off with it, and you'd hear, and she'd come back and want another one. She also loved corn cobs, with or without the corn. If we ate corn on the cob for dinner and then just give her a corn cob, she would eat the whole thing. She loved green beans, the whole bit. The boys don't like the veggies as much as she did, but yeah, I chopped up some sprouts and threw them in there, and I took some down, chopped them up, and took them down for the babies, the baby chicks, because that's good for them, and it's greens. So, but I have another jar that I started, and there's fewer in there, and I haven't ruined them, but I did forget about them one day, so they kind of dried out, but then they sprouted okay. So far so good, but I don't know. I've kind of, like I said, the last few days, there's just been a really chaotic energy in the air. It's really been bugging me, and I haven't been motivated to do anything. I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like being around people. Of course, I usually don't, but I've just been like hiding off by myself and just avoiding the world. And I haven't spent much time in my kitchen with my ferments or my sprouts or anything like that. I really honestly need to snap out of this, but I mean, it'll happen when it happens, right? I go with the flow. It's the easiest way. But yeah, so sprouts are good though. The alfalfa sprouts are really good. I don't think I really cared for the broccoli sprouts very much. They have a more assertive flavor. It's a little more, it's assertive enough that it actually leaves a bit of an aftertaste in my mouth, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So, but they're going. You might look into it more, Zach. You've discounted it due to personal bias. What, the horoscopes? Yeah, I've always, if that's what you're talking about, I always thought they were silly, but it's really interesting stuff. I mean, stars are right there. And I mean, just if you go in your house, oh, which I got to do a video and show you guys the EMF meter that we got. I've been testing EMFs on everything. My house is surprisingly low in EMFs, which made me really, really happy. I was really glad that the efforts that I have been putting forth is actually making a difference. So that was thrilling for me. But in the room, the worst room in the house is the bedroom that is in the northwest corner of our house. And that is where our electricity comes in. That's where the electric box is. And no, we don't have a smart meter. It's an old style with a wheel and everything. But right on the other side of the wall from that wheel, there's crazy EMF coming through there. And that will affect you as a human being, as a living, breathing, organic being. Sleeping in that or spending a lot of time in that electrical field, it will affect you. It will give you headaches and affect your immune system and things like that. So I mean, and now you're dealing with whatever stars are. They must be humongous. I mean, I don't think that they're actually as small as they look. I'm sure they're not as far away as we thought they were. They're right there. I think that gosh, I was just watching a movie the other day, or not a movie, a video the other day that was pointing out again, you forget these things and then you're reminded of them. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. It was pointing out once again that the moon and the stars seem to be the same distance away, because when you film them going by, they go at the same speed. If the stars were a lot further away, the moon would go by faster than the stars, because you don't drive past a mountain and have it fly past you. The mountain goes really slow. It's the telephone poles that go by fast because they're close. So, yeah, I was watching that video, and maybe they are kind of small. I don't know, but I imagine that, I mean, you're talking about lights coming from heaven. They got to be some pretty intense, like spotlights of power, of vibration, of frequency, whatever that is. But I don't imagine it's a impotent thing, you know? So it really, really makes perfect sense to me that horoscopes are legit. Like, these frequencies would affect you. It also makes me wonder, which I have been thinking about a lot in the last year since I've been really focusing on this in my life. I wonder what it does to a person when they are scheduled to be born. I've known people that scheduled a cesarean on their due date. Just because you were supposed to be born that day doesn't mean that you would have been. I was born April 5th. My mother was actually due on March 15th. I was really late, over 2 weeks late. She was very, very upset with me. But that completely changed my horoscope. It would have completely changed my chart. That would have made me a Pisces, not an Aries. It really makes me wonder what that would do to a personality, how much that would actually change it. And I mean, there's no way to know. You can't go back and be unborn and born a different time. I mean, you can, we do, just we don't usually remember it, but it's still not in that context. It's a different life altogether, not just a redo of the same one to see if it's different. But I wonder, because I do think it makes a difference. I really believe that it would. And I'll tell you what, my husband is a Capricorn and I am an Aries, and we have an Aries sun and a Capricorn sun. And the Capricorn sun is, oh my God, the spitting image of his father. Looks like him, talks like him, acts like him. Oh my God. And the Aries sun is the spit and damn image of me. I mean, it's remarkable. I actually had strangers that would come at, I mean, it's happened more than once. It happened at least a handful of times when he was young. Complete strangers, when he was like 2, 3 years old, would walk up to us and say, wow, you can't tell who his mother is. Because it's like, it's that striking how strong my genes are, apparently. So I don't know. I do think it's interesting, and I think there's something to it. It just, oh, and Santos, I don't know exactly how much I believe this. I mean, I'm sure it's got to be somewhat legitimate. But Santos talks a lot about different celebrities that are born under the same signs as each other and their similar physical features. Talks about how people tend to somewhat resemble their signs, like I'm sorry for the Leo. I'm sure you are not a full maned hairy person, but Leos tend to have the flatter snout of a lion, and the more radiantness about them. They tend to be long haired or just have a striking way about them. I mean, you'd have to listen to him describe it, because to hear him describe it, it's just, Santos has a very descriptive manner. And I mean, he's been doing these lectures forever, and he does the same ones over and over. So I'm sure he's got all his vocabulary figured out by now. But I think it's interesting, the idea that being born under a certain sign not only affects your personality and the like, but potentially what you look like and your basic features. I think it's really interesting. Teresa thinks she's connected to horses for some reason. Star sign, half horse, half man. And your Chinese horoscope is a horse as well. That's interesting. Do you feel a particular affinity to horses? I mean, I don't know. I've never known a little girl that didn't want a pony. But I don't know. I don't I don't think I know anybody that doesn't like horses. And Rebecca likes Bill Donahue too, apparently. Love Bill Donahue. I still like to go back and listen to some of his stuff sometimes. I like to go back through his Zodiac series. He has a whole playlist that he has set aside himself on his channel that is through the Zodiac. And it's the Bible and the Zodiac. And he goes through each sign and each degree, the mini constellations that occupy each degree, and tells you Bible stories based on these characters, because the very names of these mini constellations that are between the degrees, the very names appear in the Bible and describe, when you look up what the name means, like we all have meanings to our name, they actually tell these Bible stories. It's incredible. It is so infuriating to me that people don't know this stuff, and even more infuriating that when you try to tell them, they go into shutdown mode and they go into such denial, and they won't even listen. They won't even think about it for a minute. They're like, la 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 la. It's like, for real, this is your life. If I'm sitting here right now telling you that you could be so much happier and so much more at peace and live your life with so much more ease, have the things that you need come into your life more easily, and have the things that you wish you didn't have exit your life more easily. I mean, there's a flow. There's a flow out there that is like looking for you. It wants to work with you. And the more you deny it's there and insist on doing it yourself, like a stubborn 5-year-old, no, 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 mom, I can do it myself, you know? Well, you can. It just so much harder that way. But that's what all of the ancient religions are telling you. All of the astrotheological religions. I even have a list I started making the other night. The Hindus have Krishna. The Chinese have Kunzi. I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm not Chinese. The Parisians have Sosisho. I'm pretty sure that's wrong too. Scandinavians have Balder. Christians have Jesus. The Masons have Hiram. The Egyptians have Horus. And that's like the handful that I heard in passing on a video and was like, oh, I wanted to write those down. There's like 40 more. But all of these religions, like the Hindus, Krishna, they were born of a virgin, or at least an immaculate conception of some sort. You know, there was an immaculate conception, and they were born of a virgin, and they were chased by an evil king who killed all the babies in the area trying to nail him down and kill him. And then he's, you know, caught and tortured and crucified in one way or another, and is murdered. And after 3 days, it's always 3 days, he rises from the grave and is reborn. And they all have the same names. They're all called the Prince of Peace and the Bringer of Light and the Light of the World and the Only Begotten Son of God. They all have the same names, and they all came before Jesus. Jesus is the most recent sun deity. He's just a big fat copycat off of all of the other ones. It's not a coincidence. I mean, maybe it's a coincidence if there's a handful of parallels with one other god, but I'm talking like pretty much every god that's ever existed has the exact same story of his life. They're only mixed up as far as being more cultural to the area. You know, the language that they use, and the symbols that they use, the ciphers that they use. Every language has a certain gematria cipher that they use. And gematria isn't just the crazy, you know, adding this way and adding that way. It's actually called isopsephy. ISOPSEPHY. That is the actual term for the study of gematria. And gematria has been a thing since before letters. I mean, symbols were before letters, and numbers are symbols. And in the languages that the Bible was written in, Hebrew and Greek, in both of them, every single letter of the alphabet has a specific number that is attached to it, that is specifically dedicated to it, and they add up their numbers all over the place. I mean, they word things certain ways to make it add up to certain things, because it's part of the elegance of it. It's part of the symbology. I'm going off again. Ha ha ha, oh my god. I bet you that was the dick suck comment. Bye, Zach, although I'm sure you're already gone. Sandra's got the Bill Donahue playlist for you guys. Thank you, Sandra. You are so awesome. You are so on the ball. Be my right-hand chick. Right? Rebecca says she still watches Bill. It's great to find someone else that loves him too. I tell people about him all the time. If they'll listen at all, if they're even, the slightest bit open to the concept, I always throw Bill out there because he's so non-threatening. He's like this little old dude, and he's so passionate about what he's talking about, and he's just, I don't know, I really love his style. I love how he teaches and the angle, his perspective on it. I think he's just perfect for what he does. I'd really love to meet him. I'd really love to sit down with Bill Donahue and have dinner with him. Maybe I can convince him to come to Ohio. I'll cook him dinner. Oh, Stacy wants to talk about Jack. I thought of another one, but I couldn't remember if you actually said it or not, but that was Jack Frost. And I actually meant to come back to your video and listen to it again to see if you said Jack Frost, but I didn't make it. So did you say Jack Frost? But yeah, Stacy's Realm. If you go over to her site, her channel, she has a video about Jack. All the Jacks. We have like Jacks coming out her ears, like literally phone jacks. But all these Jacks, Jack of all trades, and Jack Frost, and card Jacks, and floor Jacks, and the game Jacks, Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack of all trades. There's so many of them. It's like really ridiculous. But I think Jack is like the John of a different age. Now if you can't be more anonymous than John Smith in America, even though that's probably not even the anonymous name anymore. I don't know many Johns anymore. But I'm pretty sure that Jack is actually a nickname for John, which is actually kind of dumb because, I mean, it's the same number of letters and it's the same syllables. It's really not shorter. But I do believe that Jack is a nickname, or is it James? Maybe Jack's a nickname for James. I don't know, but I kind of think that that's what they did with the Jack thing. It's just kind of it's a blanket term like John. At least that's my thoughts on it. Hi, Mark. I didn't even see you in there. Now you gotta go. Well, have a good week. See you later, even though you're probably already gone. That's the bummer about being behind in the chat and going off for a while. I mean, it gives you guys a chance to say some stuff for me to have more to babble about when I get there, but then people say goodbye and I miss them. Ah, yes, she is a god mod. Jack Rabbit. Yep, Jack Rabbit for sure. Jackknife. Did you say that one? A jackknife, which is an actual knife, or when the semi gets the tractor turned flat against the trailer and they can't move, that's called a jackknife because, well, it folds like a jackknife. Boy, ice makes them do that and they get mad. One-eyed Jack, yes, definitely one-eyed Jack. Jack, well, all the Jacks, hearts and spades, and Suicide Jack. Boom, that's the one-eyed Jack. I knew it had another name. I couldn't think of it. Oh, yeah, I guess Jack would be short for Jacob, huh? Jake or Jack. What? Okay. I don't know. I'm done. I'm all out. And I did a whole damn 2 hours by myself again. Yeah, you definitely don't know jack shit. She said that one. Because that one was the first Jack that came to my mind. My grandpa used to say that all the time. You don't know Jack. Yeah, he left the shit off, but you don't know Jack. Yikes. I didn't know shit went up Jack's ass. Who's putting shit in Jack's ass? Oh, well, there's the actual jackass, too, which is funny. Did you know that a jackass is infertile? A jackass isn't an actual breed of animal. I mean, it's not a legitimate creature. It's not a God-created creature. It's actually a man-made splice. A jackass is a cross between a donkey and a horse, and it is it's like it's infertile, and it is basically just this mule that works hard, and it can carry heavy stuff, and it can't be bred, and so it just lives its short pathetic life dragging your fat ass and all your stuff around, and then it dies, and that's the end of it. But I think it's kind of creepy that it's actually an animal that doesn't occur naturally by itself. It is actually something that is created by man. So when you think about the idea of, clones and stuff like that, we are actually breeding species of animals that don't exist. That's kind of creepy. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That just feels like, tell you what, it gives me the same like level of heebie-jeebies that whole blood over intent crap did when that was like surging through the world. Oh, it's like just ugh, yuck. Heebie-jeebies. Absolutely. But anyway, okay. Union Jack, card Jack, proper cozy. Well, that's not Jack. Hijack. That's a good one. Hijack. I don't remember if he said that one or not. Oh, I didn't know you wanted to come on. Well, I asked you. Yeah, you said I asked you if you wanted to come on, if you sent an email for the link, or if you were just sending me what you sent me. But next time, definitely. I mean, I'm gonna start sending out. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a group in my email. So if you want a heads up, a personal emailed heads up when I'm coming on live and probably what my topic is, send me an email at conspiracymystic@gmail.com, and I'm going to create a group, an email group. And when I'm getting ready to getting my idea together, even if it's like Wednesday and I got my topic, I'm going to send an email out to anybody that wants to email, and you can figure out if you'll be free, and if it's a topic that you have an opinion on or something to say. It'll give you a chance to do a little research if it's something you want to look into before you appear with me or whatever. But I would really like to open this up and spend less time here talking to myself. I mean, I'm talking to you guys, and I really do enjoy hanging out with you guys. I mean, I really appreciate you showing up and being my friends and hanging out with me and listening to me babble and sharing all your information with me. It's cool, but I would really like to get it a little more interactive, at least some of the time, get someone up here with me, and conversation is nice. Luckily, I can go on and on for days, and so I can have a one-ended conversation for a while by myself. But anyway, on that note, it is 8 o'clock, and so I am going to sign off here. So it was really awesome hanging out, as always. Thank you all for showing up and listening to me. And like I said, shoot me an email if you want to be on my official list, and I will email you my topic, and you can come on here with me if you want. So off I go. I hope you all have a super wonderful week, and I will catch you next Sunday. Bye, guys.